Hey y'all, let's talk about finding the GCF. I'm going to go over how to do it in Desmos and how to do it like by hand. So if we look at number 8 here, you have 9k squared plus 66k plus 21. Okay. So if I'm finding, let's say the instructions for this worksheet say you need to factor your trinomial, um, and you're not really sure where to start. A lot of times you'll start with the bottoms up method, and y'all will multiply your A times your C before you've looked to see if you have a GCF. So here I need to look at the numbers 9, 66, and 21. Um, Mr. Dietz has shown us a way to do this that is easier for people who are comfortable with the calculator. But first, let's do the old fashioned way. So for 9, I'm just going to think about all the numbers that divide evenly into 9. You have 1 and 9, and 3 and 3. Okay, then you have 66. You have 1 and 66, 2 and 33, 3 and 22. Let's see. 4 doesn't divide evenly. 5 doesn't divide evenly. 6 will divide 11 times. 7 won't divide evenly. 8 won't divide evenly. 9 won't divide evenly. 10, no. So that should be, I think, believe all the factors of 66. And then we have 21. You have 1 and 21. 2 does not divide evenly into 21. And then you have 3 and 7. So those are all the factors that you have of those three numbers. So all the GCF is the largest number that they all kind of share, or that they all have as a factor, which is going to be 3. You'll see that they all have a 3 that divides evenly. That means if I'm factoring or solving that number 8 up here, the first step that I need to do is to take a 3 out. I'll have to factor a 3 out. So I divide each of the numbers here by 3. So 9 divided by 3 is 3. So it leaves you 3k squared. 66 divided by 3 is 22. So you have 22k. And then you have 21 divided by 3 leaves you a 7. All right. So that would be the first step in factoring. Mr. Dietz showed you a really cool way to do this on Desmos. You could also, or he showed us, I guess, an easy way to do it, not necessarily on Desmos, but in the calculators. You can also do it in Desmos, though. So if you want to take a moment to open up Desmos, I guess it won't let me change there it goes. Okay. So if you go to the Desmos and then you go to graphing calculator, all you're going to need to do is type in y equals, and then we're going to type in our coefficients. Those are the numbers in front, your A, B, and C. So we had 9 was our first one, and I'm going to hit divided by x. All right. So that was our A value. If you click right here on this little gear, it brings you to this, and you can go to convert to table. All right. So here we have a table of values. So these are the x values that we could put in, and these are the y values we get out. If I click up here, it lets me type in another function. So I'm going to type in our second number that we dealt with, which was our b value of 66. And I'm going to hit divided by x. And then I'm going to put my third one up here, which was 21 divided by x. All right. And if you do this in a graphing calculator, it will automatically give you all the x values, but in Desmos, unfortunately, it doesn't. So what you need to do is in the x column, you need to type your numbers. Just numbers like counting by 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, until you get to the smallest number that you had at the top. So up there we had the smallest number out of 9, 66, and 21 was 9. So I'm going to go all the way up to 9 when I'm typing in my x values here. And then what you're looking for is, let's find the biggest x value that divides evenly. So that means that you need to have whole numbers all the way across. You cannot have any fractions or decimals. So if you look, you'll see that, you have a decimal here, you have a decimal here, here. The only numbers that you have that divide evenly all the way across would be 3 and then obviously 1. So here I know 3 is my greatest common factor. Now that's if you have 3 numbers you're dealing with, an A, B, and a C value. If, for instance, you had just 2 numbers that you needed to find the greatest common factor of, you can actually type GCD, stands for greatest common divisor, and you can type a parentheses and put 2 numbers in, and it'll give you your GCD or your GCF right there. It just doesn't work for more than 2 numbers right now. Hopefully that was helpful for you. And then we can look at just one more example. So if we do number 18 that I have right there, let's see, let me write. You've got 16, 60, and 100. Okay. So for 16, you have 1 and 16, and 2 and 8, and 4 and 4. And for 60, 60 is a lot. 1 and 60, 2 and 30, 3 and 20, 4 and 15, 5. Ooh, that's an ugly 5, isn't it? 5 and 12, 6 and 10, 7 doesn't divide, 8 doesn't divide, um, 9 doesn't divide evenly, and then we're back at 10. So I believe that's all of them. And then for 100, you've got 1 and 100, 2 and 50, 3 won't divide evenly, 4 and 25, 5 and 20, 6 won't divide evenly, 7 won't, 8 won't, 9 won't, 10 and 10 are the other ones. So here you just want to look for the largest number that divides evenly into these 3 numbers. So what is the largest factor I listed here that divides evenly into everything? Well, like I see this one doesn't have an 8, this one doesn't have an 8, that neither of these have 16. It looks like 4 is probably my largest number. So what you could also do is, if we're going back to Desmos, and again, I'm going to type it in here. And you could do y equals, and then what was our first number that we had? 16. It's 16 divided by x. So I'm going to click on the gear again and go to convert to table. And then at the top, I'm going to type my other 2 coefficients divided by x. And again, I'm going to make sure that when I'm looking at my x values over here, that I type the whole numbers all the way up to my smallest number. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay. So you'll see 16 gives you a decimal. What else? You have decimals, decimals, decimals. Looked like 10 almost worked, but didn't. 8 gives you a decimal. Yep. So if we look at 4, 4 is the largest number that divides evenly into all 3 of your um, coefficients when we are looking at it. So again, if you need to write this in factored form, you have got to put a 4 on the outside, and then divide all the numbers inside the parentheses by 4. So I would do 4, and then I divide 16 by 4 and get 4b squared. Divide 60 by 4 and get 15b, and divide 100 by 4 and get 25. Okay, so that is how you find your GCF.